All right, so the test outline, this is even in order. 6 integrals by antiderivative, meaning not by area, and not by calculator because it's a no calculator test. So every time we see an integral, there's sort of 3 options. Antiderivative by hand, let the calculator do it, or do the area. Calculator is not an option for this test, so first 6 antiderivative by hand. All of those are U sub problems. Some with limits, some without. So some will have a plus C on them, some you'll have to plug in the top minus plug in the bottom. I think the first 4 are plus C, and the next 2 are with limits. And you know with limits, safe stop it, right? So plug them in and then leave it. Like don't spend a bunch of time doing algebra. 1, solve a differential equation. It's nearly identical to the one from the last test, where it tells you the second derivative is equal to whatever, and the first derivative at 0 is 12, and the original function at 0 is 2, or whatever. I don't know. That might give you an ugly answer. I don't know. But most of you did fine on that one on the first test, so seeing it again shouldn't be a problem. Then there's 6 questions based on one picture. Try to phrase this right. One picture, one graph of a function defined by an integral. That's what we did yesterday. That's what we were just looking at, where f of x is equal to the integral from -1 to x g of t dt. So you take a derivative to wipe out the integral, but there's one picture and then we ask a bunch of questions about it, like the notes, like the homework. 3 word problems, 2 of which are average value. That's why we had average value on the warm-up. 1 of which is, if you integrate the rate, you get the change in amount. That was like the snow problem in the warm-up. If you integrate the rate, you get the change in the amount. And so obviously this doesn't add up to 3 because there's some overlapping things here. But 2 of those are set up but do not evaluate type problems. So your answer will have an integral in it, and that's fine because it tells you that's okay. And then 6 multiple choice. Mostly integration. Well, I guess all integration. But integration, that's kind of a broad term because sometimes you do it by area, sometimes it requires U substitution, sometimes by area we mean like geometry. Sometimes we do algebra first, like the warm-up. Sometimes we take the derivative of an integral. That's probably our favorite thing to do because they just counteract each other. That's the easy thing. We like that. And then the other way is the antiderivative of a derivative. Gets us back to the original, but be careful with the limits. Block day test, so I think you'll have plenty of time. Because the multiple choice, most of those are quick. Even the U substitution isn't too bad. Word problems may take a little bit of time. The picture graph thing, that's, if you understand that goes pretty quick. Antiderivative by hand, that might be the slowest part because you got to figure out what U is and how to fix it and make it work. But I don't think time's going to be an issue. Any question as we ran through that kind of quick? Any of those you're like, wait a minute, what are you talking about there? So for what's due, I'm going to say, I think there's been 7 assignments. I'm going to say 5 of 7. If I can back up and count here. Started with page 301. Then there was worksheet 31. Then there was a worksheet on the fundamental theorem of calculus. Worksheet on average value. Worksheet on the second fundamental theorem of calculus. That was the super easy worksheet that I think everybody finished before they left on Friday. So you should definitely have that one done. Then there was a worksheet on yesterday, functions defined by integrals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there's another function defined by integral and review. So that was those two things together were the packet that you got yesterday. And I'm going to say 5 of 7 because this function defined by integrals, the second worksheet is more of the same. The review, as I looked at the review, I would say number 1 is not so important, and number 4D, just flat out throw that one out. And then the rest of that back page review is probably pretty helpful stuff, like especially those handwritten problems. Those are ones I added after looking at the test. So even if you don't want to do this whole worksheet as to turn it in as one to count, I would highly, highly recommend you do those handwritten problems that I added after consulting the test. Very wise to do that. Sorry, that's what you're looking for? Right, so you would use a calculator because it's more about setting it up. It's a good question on number 4 on the review. Yes, if you're gonna work it, use a calculator, but know that on the test it's going to be those questions are going to say set up but do not solve. Like get it calculator ready and then walk away. And that means you could do that on that as well. Answers to this are posted. All right, there's 5 minutes left. You tell me, what do you want? You want to start that Kahoot and see how far we make it? Just for the heck of it?